Years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine in Mobile, Alabama. I spoke at a church over there, and I'd known him for 20 years. He said, Brother Hovind, let's go to McDonald's. I want to show you something. So we went to McDonald's, had lunch, and he tore 2 pieces of paper out, and he wrote on there, Mr. Flat and Mrs. Flat. I said, okay. He laid them on the table. He said, now you taught geometry, right? I said, yeah. He said, I want you to imagine that you are Mr. Flat, and you live in flatland. 2 dimensions, there is no third dimension. You have length and width, no height. I said, okay. He said, suppose I, as a 3-dimensional being, would like to reveal myself to you, but you live in flatland. How can a 3-dimensional person express himself to a 2-dimensional person? Well, you're going to have a real problem here. He said, if we have Mr. Flat and Mrs. Flat, they're flat. All Mr. Flat sees of Mrs. Flat is a straight line. Now, he can walk around and figure out she's actually a rectangle. He can perceive the depth, but he can only see the width. You and I can see width and height. You do not see depth. You perceive depth. They call it depth perception. You could take a picture of what you're looking at, and it would look exactly on flat paper the same as it does in real life. Okay? So he said, if I want to reveal myself to Mr. Flat or Mrs. Flat, I walk over and I stick my finger through the table. Mrs. Flat or Mr. Flat comes over and says, oh, I've seen Kent Hovind. He's a circle. All they see is a cross-section of my finger. Now then I stick 3 fingers through the circle over here, and Mrs. Flat says, oh no, I've seen Kent Hovind. He's 3 circles. And they're going to split the church and start the church of the 1 circle and the church of the 3 circles, I'm sure. But neither one understands me. They've each only seen just a little bitty slice of the real me. So when God wanted to reveal himself in this little 3-dimensional world, he came down in the form of a man, Jesus Christ. There's an interesting verse in Ephesians chapter 3. It says, that we may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the length and depth and breadth and height, and to understand the love of Christ which passeth knowledge. Now wait a minute, there are 4 dimensions given there. Length, depth, breadth, and height. Is there more to God than we understand? I would say probably so. Probably a lot more to God than we understand. And I doubt anybody can say, I understand everything about God. If the infinite God would fit in my little 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for sure.